And we're live. Welcome out there, everybody. And thanks for joining us tonight for another episode of the Cool Down Lap. I, of course, again, am not your host, Anthony Castor. I am Eric Thaler, sit in host for this week. And with me, as always, is the wonderful James Johnson, the voice of Midwest Motorsports. And, of course, my brother, JT, driver of the number 2. How you guys doing?
I'm awesome, man. I'm recovering from a long weekend of racing. There was so much to watch; it was hard to know where to look.
Yeah, likewise myself. Just seems like that's all I did on Sunday for sure. How are you doing, Eric?
Good, doing good. A lot of good racing this weekend in real life and obviously here in the virtual world, which we'll get to. But what stuck out to you guys this week? As we navigated some in real life motorsports, lots going on.
Go ahead, James. I'll let you take the floor first.
Well, I want to know, and you can be honest with me, JT. Did you stay up and watch Australia live, or did you just watch it on the DVR the next morning? It was like 1 a.m. on the East Coast, I think.
Let's see. I enjoyed it while I was drinking my coffee in the morning at about 7:30, and my wife made some delicious pancakes, so I had breakfast with my coffee, and I was watching the race. So I did not stay up that late.
Right on. Well, it was a good one. McLaren with the front row, uh, and then the rain came. That threw a curveball. Um, and we have how many rookies, Justin, in the
Uh,
F1?
6, I believe.
So, Eric, did you not catch any of the Formula One race? I know that you were probably, I don't know, doing something manly, riding a bull or something.
Yeah, I did. I didn't get to catch it. No, I was a
Okay,
little busy.
all good.
Well,
Well, so it's pouring down rain 5 minutes before the race. You think the tempest system was working?
Broken.
Yeah, right. And then only rain they get all weekend. So they're almost everybody's starting on inters, and then I forget one guy. Oh, Lance Stroll was starting on full wets because we know he can't drive unless there's any moisture on the track. But that's beside the point, also. But yeah, we got like 6 rookies in the field, and one of the rookies spun it in turn one, got off the grid, turn one, hit a white stripe. You think it was Christopher Hopper at Suzuka, and he just, I mean, barely touched the gas and spun out and backed her into the tires and was crying on his way. This was on the formation lap,
Yep,
uh,
on the formation lap. Yep.
turn one, not even lap one. It was kind of cool that Lewis Hamilton's dad kind of gave him a cuddle and, talked him off the ledge, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, am I a huge Lewis Hamilton race fan? No. Do I respect how good he is? Yes. And I think that shows a lot of their the mentality, coming from his dad and the um what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the integrity and the morals that, Lewis was probably
Yeah.
given when he was a young child. I thought that was cool for somebody else's. I mean, because Hamilton is high jars, that's his F1 hero right there. And for his dad to come over and console him like that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Mad respect. I definitely agree. Um, I don't know. You want to take it from there, Justin? I mean, we finally got to start, and there was some more wrecks before the track dried out.
Oh, holy smokes, man. Yeah, so like started on the wet and then um some point, I mean, we had 5 DNFs. So Liam Lawson, Bortoletto, who's a rookie for Sauber, another I guess what 12th year rookie, and Fernando Alonso is a DNF. Carlos Sainz Jr., unfortunately a DNF. Jack Doohan, DNF. And then I think it's Isaac Hajar with
Yeah.
RB. But 5 DNFs total. So track kind of started to dry up. Guys were coming in with the pit cycles under, I believe it was they all came in under a safety car to swap to slicks, I believe. Or did they go under green? I don't remember. I want to say it was under a safety car. Um, so there was only what, maybe like 30 to go, 27 to go, I think. So guys went on slicks. And then what, 3, 4 laps later, the rain started coming down again,
Yep.
something like that. So, um, as a McLaren fan, made me kind of nervous that McLaren went with the hard tires because in my head I was like, well, the track temp's going to be lower. You know, you can probably keep the tires cooler and make the mediums last a little longer in the dry. But I guess it really didn't matter at that point anyway. But I mean, Fernando dipped it, caused another safety car, and um, you know, right before one of the, where was it? It was coming out of like the second, third to last turn, those sweeping kind of fast corners, and it was a McLaren 1-2, and they kind of pan as the cars are coming towards the camera. Both papaya machines are off cutting the grass, and one got luckier than the other. So Lando was, I mean, he had a hell of a race. He was out in front. Max was running third for quite a while, between second and third, depending on pit cycles and things. But yeah, man, coming up to the penultimate corner, it looked like Piastri just couldn't get the car straight enough, quick enough to be able to slow down, and he looped it, and he went way off. Uh, basically on the right side of the track, pretty far out, and boy was he stuck. So I imagine that ground was so soft and so wet that that grass was just like ice because he just for the life of him couldn't get that McLaren to do anything in forwards, and then eventually got it back in reverse. But from there, pretty much everybody, was past the pit entry. So we're going around again, just trying to tiptoe it around, and then everybody pretty much came in pit for inners again. And what else happened? Maybe from there on out, did you really catch anything else?
And there was it was so confusing. Ferrari screwed up strategy again. I think Hamilton just barely got 10th. Um,
Hmm.
um, no, I did not see anything specific that really, set anyone apart from any other. But Mercedes ended up getting third and fourth with Kimi Antonelli and George Russell third. So that was
Hmm.
really cool. Piastri did make it back on the track and still finished ninth. So for him to get out of the grass was a good recovery. But he's probably beating himself up, the hometown hero. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he got lucky with the wave around, but still to fight back from would have been like P15 up in the ninth and not many laps, I would say, in wet condition. That shows a lot of talent.
and that car's hooked up. It was
Oh yeah.
McLaren. So McLaren's gonna be fighting for the championship this season. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, not quite the race for I think Hamilton. I think he's got a lot to learn still. Um, scraped by with a 1 point, but through the standings, I mean, you have Alex Albon and a Williams finishing fifth, and that car does look. It looks like it can be maybe towards the front of the midfield. I think this year. You had Lance Stroll in sixth, so he bagged 8 points. Nico Hulkenberg and a Sauber beat two Ferraris. I mean, the Saubers were basically 4 laps down every race last season. He's coming home 6 points, and then Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, and then Lewis Hamilton to round out your top 10. So,
It's gonna be a fun season.
yeah. And we got
Early
what,
next
China
month.
next week, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. that's a long sweeping, lot of long sweeping corners.
Fast. Yeah. And it
Sustained,
could be wet there too. It's
super
been known
fast.
to rain there.
Yep. We love Formula
So
One. We'll keep talking about it all night if you don't stop us, Eric.
Oh, my bad. I guess I should be a better host. All right. Well, let's see here. How about we had an IMSA race this weekend, 12 hours of Sebring. I didn't get to catch any of it. I think James, before the show, you said you caught a little bit of it, but not all of it, and same with Justin. But how do you think that fared? Was it entertaining, or was it just a slaughter?
Oh, how could you not be entertained? The whole track is crowded by like lap 3 or 4 there in traffic. 4 classes. The multi-class is just ridiculously crazy. And, Sebring had its normal bumps and argy-bargy. I was able to catch a little here and a little there. When I did, I really wasn't really aware of who was where and who was in the car, who wasn't. The Rail Letterman BMWs, I think, are awesome if they could just keep it together and finish in the spot without any trouble, which is obviously the whole point of endurance racing,
Yeah.
and all the GT cars too. You'll be glad to know that Penske did finish 1-2, and they're 1-2 in the championship after they kicked butt in Daytona too. So 2 of the biggest endurance races are in the books for IMSA.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I'm glad I'm a Penske fan because we keep winning these things. We'll be all right. But that's good to hear. I wish I caught some of it even. I was gonna say some more of it, but some of it would be some of it would have been good. But I'm glad I heard Penske come out on top. So
Sorry about that, Eric. I was just gonna mention for anybody out there and for you, they have like a 20-minute highlight reel on Peacock that's it's pretty cool. And their
Oh,
YouTube also, IMSA YouTube. If you can catch some of it, it's worth
that's
watching
right.
the highlight reel if you find one you got time for.
That's right. I always forget they're affiliated with Peacock. So you'll have to check that out. That'll be cool. Well, but moving into more NASCAR related things, Truck Series, Xfinity Cup, they were all at Vegas, and uh, quite a few shockers here, to talk about. But Truck Series wound up with Corey Heim finishing first, and that was a fairly exciting race. Friday night, the they were all over the place, and for a while there, it seemed like Friesen was up front, and Riggs wound up with a really good finish towards the end. But it didn't look like he was going to get there. But that was an exciting race, and anything moving into the Xfinity Series, that put on a show as well. With Allgaier getting his first victory of the year. Sorry to JR Motorsports fans out there. Didn't mean to
Uh,
to accidentally call him Allmendinger, but Allgaier got his first. Connor Zilisch was having a great day up until he had some issues on pit road, but that whole JR Motorsports team was fast. So before we get into the Cup Series, you guys catch any of those two?
did not.
No.
Meant to, but did only watch the cup race.
Yeah, that's all right. I try to watch them, but both of them were really good races. Nothing too notable. And moving into the Cup Series, my biggest notable from here, and and this goes aside from the fact that one of my favorite teams won it, but uh, you know the biggest notable was there was a lot of wheels that come off during that Cup race. It,
yeah,
it, se- it seems like it comes in spurts, right? Like first season of the next gen, they had wheel problems all over the place. Last year, last year it kind of
It
seemed
was tame.
pretty. Yeah,
It
it
was
was
tame.
pretty low, but you know, this year was the first instance. Second instance, I guess, because I think didn't Larson have one come off, if I'm not mistaken?
Mm,
Maybe at Atlanta. Anyways, I
uh,
can't remember. The but there was quite a few that come off this weekend, and we had there was Christopher Bell stopped in Briscoe's pit to get one of his tightened up.
Yeah, that was so smart, man. Thinking on
Yeah,
your toes.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, even the note that it was loose, right? Like, uh, I imagine the tire changer had to like obviously notify the crew chief, like, hey, this is loose. So real quick to get that thing pulled into a team member's pit stall to get that thing fixed. But those were some highlights from that. But, poor Kyle Busch couldn't catch a break. Um, so it was lots of wheels coming off, but super happy for Josh Berry getting his first, and obviously the Wood brothers. The longest standing NASCAR team. It's really cool to see them come out victorious on both accounts.
yeah, for sure.
Still rocking the white suits for the crew. I mean, they just
Oh
look
yeah,
crisp coming out, running across the field. It's the Wood brothers, and that was awesome.
yeah, that was super cool, man. Josh Berry's been um, I guess a good name puts a good name out there for motorsports. Always has a fairly uh, clean race and good head on his shoulders, and has some pretty decent racecraft. He doesn't really squeeze issues or put himself into places he doesn't need to be, and I think that's notable, and I'm glad he was able to get up there to the front and come out victorious. Um, I think that the second guy you got to give credit to for Sunday is Ryan Preece. He had a great race. Finished third. He's coming along really well in that car. So I would, if I was a gambling man, I'd gamble he's probably going to get one this year too at some point.
Yeah, for a while the race kind of reminded me of Auto Club with all the three wide
Yeah,
action going on and things like that. Did you catch whatever lap it was? I think it was like around within 30 to go. Larson tried to stuff it three wide and I mean, it wiggled something fierce. I don't know how he hung on to it, but that looked like I mean, I think he was just trying to see, what's going to happen with all the aero around me if I just stuff it, right up the middle. But it
yeah,
looked, I would have been clinching there, I think, for sure.
yeah. That happens a lot now, and I don't know if it's just a product of that car being hard to pass. Um, aero's a big deal, and I think they push that car to the limit a lot to try to get track position wherever they can get it, and essentially, at times it does create tight issues, like for instance, Blaney's wreck. I think Christopher Bell come in there pretty hot and stuck it. I think it was four wide. Um, but everybody's trying to gain that inch, gain that extra, gain that extra position and gain track positions, because it's so hard to gain it, in the middle of a run. Um, but I think you see that more and more with this car, to where it's just so hard to pass.
Hmm. I mean,
So
they talked about it, last year. I think it was Harvick. Those guys can just mirror drive and just take the air right off the front of the guy behind them, and the guy behind he has no more offensive tactics he could use
yeah,
once that air comes off the front. He's going up the track.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to, I guess, some more. Let's talk more Midwest Motorsports here. So, how about the Road Series Tuesday night? How'd that go? Got a couple winners here we're going to talk about. So, I'll let you guys take it away.
The Road Series was at Laguna Seca, California. Bright sun, no chance of rain. Um, Huge crowd. I think there were over 40 cars. I think it was like 21 and 19. So shout out to all the Road Series drivers for showing up. It seems like everybody wants to race at Laguna Seca because it's the corkscrew, so many great turns. The track looked like it was really slick. Lots of guys going off track and lots of rocks and debris. Me and Adam were talking over and over again about the debris on the track. And then at lap 10, a caution comes out. We don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if the road guys know what's going on, but it's the iRacing race control safety car that comes out. So apparently just a glitch in the system or um, whatever. But, at the end of the day, we got to let it play out. So they let it play out. And one guy that was thinking like Justin Thaler was thinking, but Justin Thaler wasn't thinking that on this special occasion. But uh, Jason Wahlberg and I think two or three other guys decided to come in and top off on fuel. The GT3 cars this season, have 2 pit stops, and the 10-minute mark is just before the window opens. I think they're like 15 minutes on a tank. Um, so this was an opportunity with the pacing laps. I think there were 2 pacing laps before he could bring it in. Um, everybody's runs out a couple of more laps till their tank runs out, and Jason Wahlberg's kind of on a island all on his own strategy. But Shea McNeely, Chase, it's all having a great race. Jack Lucas, Johan, of course, was in there. Um, Jesse Coffey, Christopher Rowe. It was Laguna Seca. You want to talk about your first half of your race, Justin, before we get in the second half?
Oh, yeah. I mean, seemed okay. I was making up some pretty. I was actually doing quite a bit of overtaking. A little help from some guys maybe running wide on an exit and had to gather it up. But you take advantage of those situations just as you would if you're, you know, beat them to the apex at a different corner. But yeah, when the comp came out, ashamedly, there's a huge pickup like right at the kink, and I was looking up
Mm.
at my dash panel, and like everybody stopped. So like I was kind of right at the blind crest. Ended up hitting Rick Bundren in a GT4, so I had some wheel damage. His didn't look too bad. It was just some rear end, but I had wheel damage, so I was like, well, hell, I got to pit anyways. But it ended up working out in my favor because once you got into there, we were well within at least making it basically just a one stop from there on out. Um, so like all those guys who went in at that um, caution paid off pretty well. But man, it was just real slick. Had to be real patient and just try and just stay in your rhythm. Traffic wasn't too terrible. Felt like it was pretty good overall. But once the tires started to go, it was just hard to stay on pace. It seemed like at least the Mustang, just the whole characteristics changed. I couldn't figure out. I tried to go each way with the brake bias just to help get it a little more stable, more predictable, without my pace falling off too much. But it was just kind of really hard there for like the last 10 minutes, 12 minutes of the race at least. But it was slick. I mean, it looked like a lot of guys were just either um, not patient enough on throttle input, around turn 3, 4 in there. But it was almost like it was raining because some of those corners just had like no grip whatsoever. So it was a challenging one for sure, but it was fun. It was fun.
You brought a new paint to the party at Laguna Seca.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It was like a I don't even know
Mhm.
if they do it anymore, but like right when the Mustang, like the second, I guess, era of the new generation Mustang, when they gave it the whole big facelift and kind of made it look retro, they had I don't think it was the California special, but it was basically like, um, it was a package deal you could get, and it was almost like a golf throwback, but they called it something Laguna Seca, I believe. So I just kind of put my little twist on it with the blue and the orange, and then the classic like just huge black uh, circle on the door panels with the number and the body color. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do for that. So um, kind of outside of what I've been running on the Mustang, but I figured it'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, it stuck out from the crowd. You could see it. You had Rexy on you for quite a while. I know
Oh yeah,
the battle was,
Keegan.
yeah, Keegan Bahari. I hope I'm saying his name right. In the GT4 race, Ian Silva, um, I don't know there's a backstory about his New York Islanders paint. Hopefully he'll tell us about it one day when we can talk to him about it. But Ian Silva, who also runs trucks in the oval and kills it. We'll talk about him in a few minutes. But Ian Bakaitis and Chet Miller and Jason Geyer were 1, 2, 3, 4 for probably the entire 60-minute race. Um, so the GT4 race was really good too, and it just happened to be coming through traffic. Chet would go off in the grass in the next lap, Ian would take the lead. And the next lap, GT3 would come through and no contact, but Ian would leave room and kind of, I think he turned it on Travis Rowe, but Travis Rowe had to hold up because he was in a race with another GT3 and Ian ended up going in the grass and um, Chet Miller got back by and the GT4 race to the finish. I don't know if it's up on the screen yet, Eric. I'm not
Sure
looking,
is.
but man, 0.012 is the difference. And the orange McLaren, the orange hood, came in out of the corkscrew in third place and through Rainey, which is the downhill left, the next right hand turn, and just full send in the last corner. And it was a drag race to the racing line, just like in real life with the Flying Lizards and the Corvette. That I don't think anybody touched, but I tell you, so much respect goes out to all three of those GT4 drivers for not making contact, not spinning each other out, not getting mad because you're, getting past and racing this close. I mean, it was, if I was Ian, I'd probably be a little upset um, because I was winning and I didn't. Um, but if I was Chet, I'd probably be, I mean, all three of them were super stoked after the race, talking about it, sharing photos and stuff. So kudos to all of the GT4 drivers. It was an awesome finish. That's going to be one of the top 5 finishes in Midwest Motorsports history for sure, going down the record books. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Even
yeah,
just looking at the picture, you can tell it was a good race.
man, and just finding the right gear. You've been racing for 60 minutes, there's a little bit of chaos with the yellow, and I don't think it affected the GT4s too much because it didn't really play into their pit strategy too much. But by the time the GT3s sorted themselves out, Jason Wahlberg ended up with like a 6-second lead by the time Shea McNeely and Chase and all of them came out of the pits. Uh,
Yeah.
and uh, he was able to hold off for, take his time going through traffic. There were a couple of big offs. I think David Stark had a snap oversteer in the kink coming up the corkscrew. I mean, me and Adam had a great time. If you get a chance to go back and watch the replay, it was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy it.
Very cool. I got to give a shout out, man, to all you guys that post, your screenshots or whatever after the race. Uh, Road Series, man, is on fire. So, thank you guys for posting screenshots of that and it's kind of honestly where I got most of the footage for today. So appreciate it.
Yep.
So what's going on with the points here?
Yeah.
Who's the pro?
You want to talk about pros first? Well, you're looking at it, and I am almost looking at it. All right. Jason Wahlberg won that race. I'm not sure exactly where he is on points. I'm still working on pulling it up. Come on. Too many windows. Shay McNeely's in the points, right? Standings. And this is before the drops. There's only 3 races left. Johan DeRoy's second. Am I reading this right? I just went blank on me.
Yeah, Johan is second, and then Jason Wahlberg is third. Shoot, looks like he's 314 back from second place. So how obtainable is that within 3 races? Can he gain a P2 for the season?
I believe this is without the drop races too, right, Justin? Help us out here.
Drop races, I believe, are in effect.
Yep, drops are in effect.
All right. I'm looking at the point spread, looking for the point spread. You stumped the chumps today, Eric, but it's the right question to ask.
Yeah, I guess Johan, right? He's 65 out from the top to get to Shea, so is 65 points achievable in 3 races to try to get to Shea, or is Shea just gonna have to not show up?
I think Shay's going to have to be beat. Or other points.
I mean, those two are blistering fast. They've had their battles. As it is this season, they've had a couple of tight race, I think, for a while at like Suzuka and things like that. And those two are definitely they're gonna go at it probably the rest of the season. I think 314 from Jason would be hard.
Yeah.
That's gonna take a lot. I mean, I would think you would need to pretty much win, get a bag full of bonus points if possible.
Mm.
There's about 30 points between first and second, and 20 points on back from there per position in class. And like a two point spread in points for qualifying.
Yeah. So if you get some qualifying, if you get a hell of a qualifying, and maybe the person you're trying to catch, doesn't get a good lap or something, because we give points out for quality as well.
Yeah. You miss a qualifying for a, pit lane infraction or a penalty or something like that. You don't get any qualifying points that could really bite you. With 3 races left, and I believe also the endurance next week, VIR is double points.
Okay.
Wait,
there's opportunity there to get 60-point gap.
VIR is an endurance race?
Yeah.
Oh, this is news to me.
Who set the schedule here? Who set the schedule here?
Oh, Lord Almighty, I'm in danger. Oops.
Well,
you
you
learn
did it
something
to
every day,
yourself.
don't you? You learn something every day, don't you? Damn. I'm gonna excuse myself. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll see you later next time.
Well, I guess we'll move on. See what we can do see what we got going for AM. Looks like Chester Miller's out front.
McLaren 1-2, 75 points. It's going to take a lot. Jet's had a really good season.
Yeah.
Nice and consistent. Ian Bacais is going to have to really work to catch back up. But, there's a lot to play for. I mean, look at the battle from 5th to 9th.
Yeah, that's tight.
Those are all attainable.
Look,
for
I gotta
business.
say, look at a fan favorite there sitting in P4.
Look at Hopper,
Look at him. We
43 up
love to see it.
inside the top
Yeah.
5.
And Nick
Yeah.
Aslin's like, I mean, he won't say it, but he's a hell of a road racer.
All right.
Well, it
First
And the
up,
looks like
battles here,
not too
the
shabby.
ba- and the battles here in AM, like you said, from fifth down, that could really start to shake up here after the last couple of races.
yeah, it looks to be shaken or it looks to be settling in to be a good rest of the season,
Hmm.
especially with your double points endurance rates coming up tomorrow.
Thanks.
3 races
So,
left season.
uh, yeah, I don't dabble too much in road course. I do enjoy it. There are some tracks that I know like the back of my thumb, but there's definitely those out there that I'm kind of I guess quote unquote scared of. Um, VIR for me is kind of one of those. It takes a lot. There's a lot of corners, right? And it takes a lot for me to memorize them. But is that challenging? Is that going to be challenging in these cars, especially in an endurance race? Do you think most of the drivers are pretty well versed with that track and those leading, we may not see some points changes too much, but um, is it super technical or once you know it, you know it?
Well, I'm pretty sure they call it something like the American Nürburgring.
Yeah.
There's a play there on words somehow. I would say um, the first sector, because you have a few kind of decent corners that are easy, and then you come down and is it the roller coaster they call it, James, before you kind of snake uphill through the S's at the high speed?
Yep.
It's that left and then the slow right hander, and that's just like left, right, left, right. So it's that section is tricky coming up to what is it, Oak Tree Bend or something they used to call it.
Yeah. So they cut the oak tree down, but yeah, that's leading on to a long back straightaway. But
Yeah.
um, it's definitely a momentum course, and especially there's 33 attending sign-ins right now. I
Mm,
know times they'll last minute sign-ins. So I'm expecting the it to be busy, and Nürburgring is very narrow on the racing
Mhm.
surface, or at least the racing line, and that's where the analogy comes in. So
Yeah.
yes, it's very easy to get crossed up and held up. Um,
I would I would say like corner after corner, is it technical? No, but there are short enough little pockets of technicality that make it difficult.
sure, sure.
Oh.
I've only gone around it probably twice. So if I were to jump in tomorrow night, just everybody needs to get out of my way, but that's not going to happen anyway. Um, so cool. Road Series off the VIR. Looks like there's 3 races left.
Hmm.
Anything notable coming for next season that's worth noting yet, or are we still in the works of, creating everything?
So we're gonna stick with the GT3, GT4 format. Biggest reason, we've had good participation, which is what we want to see. We extended the length of the season to 12 total races. Um, part of the reasoning, and I hope everybody understands, the reason, we don't want to switch, this season again. Steve's doing a really great job on the website. The more we switch, the less time he has
Yeah.
to focus on improvements and things like that, to help getting the website, closer and closer to its final. final form where we can completely migrate over to that. I know in the polls somebody, had made a comment about, navigating the web sometimes is difficult because you go to one website and then you have to click here and it takes you to another one. Yeah, we understand that. The end goal is to just, be able to let Steve work his magic and get us, over to one platform that'll obviously house everything, like it did in the past before we implemented the new point scoring system.
Yep.
And then no, we have a poll out. We have about a little over 50% of Road Series drivers have participated in the format poll. So we polled about some maybe format changes, rule changes, possible promotion, demotion, potentially, with some caveats behind that. So that one overwhelmingly is kind of the drivers are in support of it, but it's not a guarantee. We're still working out the final stipulations behind maybe these three people go up from the GT4 GT3, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever go down
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So there's no guarantees, because of where you finish or what you might get promoted if you're in GT4. So don't, I guess, go in expecting, well, I was whatever, and I know I'm gonna get picked. So we're still trying to figure that out. The schedule is done. We're just tinkering around with um, start date, where we place everything on the schedule,
Yeah.
and kind of working that out, and then that's about it. So we still got some time. So if you haven't participated in that poll and you're a Road Series driver, even if it's your first season, um, everybody has the opportunity to kind of give their thoughts between how to shape, you know, what the next season will be. So make sure you go down to the Discord. There's a poll channel in the Road Series chat. So make sure you go in there, and it takes 3 minutes. So it's not a huge time thing. So make sure you get your votes in.
Very cool. Very cool. Good deal. So it sounds like a lot coming out for next season and things to look forward to. So
hmm
let's roll on to some mobile action from this weekend. Got third straight winner here. Robert Sanders in the Ghost number 6 car, or truck, I should say.
Yeah.
I think he did a little mix up here with his paint this weekend, but yeah, tell us from your vantage point, James, how the race went.
It's a throwback weekend. The
Did you
trucker.
see from your vantage point? Sorry, I had to ask
No,
before
I
you get started.
could not see very much. Could barely see past my nose, and that's even more so than every other night. But no, the fog was pretty rough, and the lights never came on. So I did my best to get the pictures the best we could, and I mean that it was still a really good race, I think. Some really fun throwbacks. 10 guys uh, uh, filled out the forms and were able to focus in on everybody's paint. So if you didn't get to see it, again, feel free to run back and watch the race and learn about everybody's throwback. I don't know. Did you? I know Justin didn't have a throwback. Well, you've been
Yeah,
on for a while.
I didn't have any time. Wish I did. I've run some in the past that are pretty decent, but I didn't have any time to throw anything together. It is always my favorite, one of my favorite races, but unfortunately, I didn't have any time to put anything up.
No, it's totally understandable. It happens. Obviously, Robert Sanders didn't have time to change the number either. I don't know. Is there a penalty for that? Do you get a
It's
um,
a yeah,
no?
it's a warning for first offense, and then it's a scaling penalty after that. So next offense you get a 2-point deduction and so on and so forth. As it may. continue on. We've never gotten to where somebody gets a 2-point deduction. Everybody usually is like, "Oh crap, yeah, I forgot to change that." But
Right.
so we just like to give the warning around it.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's no performance advantage.
No,
On my toes. But yeah. So 3 in a row. How about that for Robert Sanders? There were a couple of cautions early, which surprised me. Um, but I don't know if that was due to visibility or what. But maybe nerves Friday night.
uh,
Joe
it's also the lady in black. So
and
it is it can be a tricky track to navigate, especially in those tight turns. I say tight turns, but um, there's really 2 lanes, and that's about it. And uh, preferably, preferably if you're running, solo, you're using both of those 2 lanes. So um, I think it's just the nature of the beast there.
Yeah, I felt bad for the Aussie, Mark Cochran. There's a lot of checkups, and like you said, especially at the start when everybody's double wide and there's only 2 lanes, and there's not much. I mean, you get offline, there's not a lot to save you. The wall's right there, or
Yeah.
the apron, which is definitely going to spin you. So, um, yeah, it was Darlington, the lady in black, too tough to tame. But once we got through the yellows, um, and got to the comp caution. It was green flag, pit stops, and racing after that. Um,
Yeah, it definitely fanned out pretty decent once we got some green flag stops coming. Um, I had a pit lane penalty, of course, like always, which set me back. So I was kind of navigating the back of the field after that, but uh, it was a good race. It is again, as difficult as this track was, I do feel very comfortable that people that were not confident going side by side with other trucks in the turns would get out of the way, and that's very notable and appreciated, obviously. But again, that is a tricky track. It does take laps and laps and laps to gain confidence there, and speed as well. um so glad to see the turnout that we had for the race.
Yeah.
Which wish we had a little more, but for it being such a treacherous track, it wasn't that bad of a result. So very well done.
yeah. Another Aussie, Ian Silva, was on the pole, so I want to give him some credit. Just couldn't.
Every week. He's turning some fast laps every week. So
He's overdue for another win.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. He had a good race though. He ran up front a lot of
He
the
had
race.
speed, man. He had
Yep.
speed, and he coming after me left and right. Couldn't get away from
Oh, he was doing very well.
and Jason Phillips, he said he bought the track, 30 minutes before,
him.
still 50-50 on believing him or not.
uh,
That's
he turned.
not a track you can do that
Yeah, he turned some good ones.
way.
We were talking with Justin Gleckner during the race, and he didn't practice. He just jumped in there and turned some laps, and I warned him. I was like, I don't know, buddy. This one definitely isn't a track you just want to jump into and just go around if you don't have laps and laps and laps under your belt. But um, they did all right. Jason Phillips did pretty decent this race too. So again, I'm proud of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, again, once we got past the comp caution, um, it was green flag running all the way. So I think everybody should be proud. Again, I just hate it for those guys that got tied up, used their fast repair, and then got caught up with a lot of repairs afterwards too. Just
Yeah,
unfortunate.
for
That's
sure.
racing, right?
It is. It is. It's happened to the best of us.
That's right.
So, moving on to points here, and obviously you can see from the screen captures that this was a foggy race. From the top left, that was the start of the race, and it was afternoon when we started, or not afternoon, but late afternoon. And then by the time the race started, it got dark. But I think we were a little scared if the lights were actually going to work. We were going to have another Atlanta season 7 flashback, to where it has lights, but they didn't come on. But it turned out okay, and it did clear up a little bit there at the end, to actually see the driver in front of you. So, wound up being good. So let's run down the points here. Dustin Reinstedt was at the top, 62 in front of Ian Silva. And then we got Robert Sanders, 23 behind him. So still have drop races coming up. I think after next race, which we're off next weekend or next Friday in the truck. But I believe next race we'll be throwing up the drops, and seeing where everybody falls after that. So got some drops coming up that may mix up this, top 5, top 10 even. Um, Anything on your radar, James, as we hit the last quarter of the year?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, anybody's going to have to work hard to catch up to Dustin, but Robert Sanders with 3 wins in a row. Um, can he do 4? Is
Yeah.
there a record of Midwest Motorsports stats guy? We need Larry Mack.
Well, we had a fella named Ben Litherland in here first season. I'm glad he disappeared. But I'm just joking, Ben. If
No.
you listen, he's our he was our what would you call it, man? Our our diversity department.
Yeah, diversity hire.
And he's an Englishman, and he's a true Englishman. Wears that red coat proud. But
Yeah,
um, he was in here our first season. I think he captured every win but 1 or 2, maybe. I actually may have got at the end. Um, but it literally was every race he, put the whooping on us. And for some races he never even took tires and still won. So that was back in the glory days. And we ran the
legacy
legacy
truck
trucks. Yeah,
with
legacy truck.
basically every track was one setup because they didn't have setups, and like some of those tracks you were literally in like third gear and wouldn't even hit the rev limiter. We ran mostly free content. It was something.
Yeah, we ran all the free ones, Concord, and shoot, man, there was
Fun tracks. They were
I
fun
can't even
tracks.
remember. Yeah, but I would say the record's probably 7.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to beat. I guess that was before Chuck was good at iRacing.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. That was we could call that uh pre cup series, pre truck series. So I don't know what the record would be before the 3. I know I definitely think there was people that have gotten 3 before. Um, I could be wrong. We'd have to have a statistician. I know they're out there. I know they're in the league somewhere. They could let us know. In the general chat or something, who's got the most consecutive wins. But kudos to him, man. He's come on fire this year.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to cover, before we move on to the Cup Series, we stuck a poll out there, a couple weeks ago, and took it down last week. But I just want to verbally go over some results. I'll obviously post something here in our Midwest Motorsports Discord. But just an idea where the Truck Series kind of rated themselves. Not really rated, but some things that they voted on. Some of these, we'll combine with the Cup Series to get a final tally. But we put one out there on caution laps. Basically a rule that again may be implemented. We're not 100% just yet, but a rule that we threw out some options for, basically to cut down on some of these long races that may result in a lot of pacing laps. Hasn't been a thing this season, it doesn't seem, but has been in the past. But just throwing something out there, seeing where y'all's minds were. An option was to end the race after a set amount of cautions. Another one was put a time limit on it, and the third option was leave it alone. There's nothing wrong. So, ultimately for the truck series, majority voted by a hair. 41% voted for the X amount of cautions. So again, we'll probably most likely combine those results with the cup to try to make a standard of it. But we'll see what the results play after we do that. Moving on to the crown jewel, looks like we are going to have a long Daytona this year in the trucks. So that'll be something that we haven't done a extremely long Daytona race or super speedway race. So we'll kind of come up with a good idea of what the lap count will be for Daytona, start of season 9, and see what happens, right? We had a vote for comp cautions. So I believe after season 6, we did away with the stages. We ran stages for quite a few seasons. Was making things very predictable. So we wanted to throw something in there that kind of mixed it up a little bit, right? So, the league obviously voted to do away with it. We have been since we adopted the comp cautions in season 7. But again, continuing to think of ways that we can continue to grow and continue to keep on track racing, moving and whatnot. So we had a few different ideas that we threw at you guys. One being do away, no more comps, comp caution thrown at a random point by race control. Then we had the comp would be thrown within a 20 lap range. So for instance, if the race was 150 laps, comp would be between 15:35. So it would come at random between there. And then we had basically to continue with the comp cautions. So 40.9% was the winner here. 40.9% of you voted to do away, no more comps. Runners up, man. We're both split with they wanted to keep them, maintain them, and also for the random comp within a 20 lap period. So again, this is probably something that we'll combine with the Cup Series voting to see where it will prevail. But once you hear the Cup Series, I think you know what's coming. So this one actually wasn't Dustin Reinstedtle's idea. This was mine. But the Podium D Ward, and this was basically it was almost like some short track Saturday night, entertainment thing, right? But honestly, it was just some ideas. People can vote on the way they think about it, but it essentially would take your winners and give them an EOL for the next race, so on and so forth. If they continue to win from getting EOLs, then they continue to get EOLs. So they would still have the opportunity to get a point for qualifying, and getting the pole, but essentially they'd go to the rear. So this one was interesting. Very, very close result. And what happened with this one is a 50-50 split. So half of y'all voted to keep it, or to keep it as I just mentioned, and half of you voted that this was a dumb idea. So, again, this is probably something that we'll go and combine with the Cup Series and see where the results, will play out. But again, I think once you see the Cup Series results, or I verbalize them, you'll kind of understand what direction we're probably going to take next year. But do appreciate everybody voting. This is what drives us, and we do want to continue to, uh, you know, take your ideas into effect as well. And when I do post this in the Discord, we'll answer some of the questions and um, some of the suggestions y'all threw out throughout the season that we've already touched on, I should say, and kind of give you an idea of where we're going for season 9. But again, appreciate everybody that's voting, and be looking obviously for even more votes in the future as we continue to try to build and grow. So moving on to the Cup Series. Well, James, take it away.
Look at there. That's a screen capture for the number 15. Chrome looking awesome, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Gives it away. Congratulations, Eric, on a great victory. You had to work for it, though, man. One heck of a cup race we had. Congrats to Dylan Fox, first of all, for putting it on the pole, and the 61, and Chris Vinson. I haven't seen him race a lot this season. Was this his first race or one of his?
I think Martinsville maybe was the first race. He was a prior
Yeah,
member some seasons ago.
yeah, he used to race trucks with us, and
Okay.
he come back this season for Cup, and he's been here a few races now, I believe.
Well, he knows his way around Indy. Apologies, Chris, for not recognizing you. So good on you for putting it back up front. Brandon Thayer and Justin Thaler rounded out the second row. Indy, 100 laps. And I love the fact that the tank size, the fuel tank size on the Cup cars this season, especially with a lot of times maybe under 20 cars, so which is going to lead towards cleaner racing anyway. But it really throws another curveball in there for strategies and picking your time to change tires. So a low fuel load and limiting number of tires, and then on a big 2.5 mile track like Indy. It started off, everybody was, at a big pack, running single file. And I tell you what, Brandon Thayer was not afraid of running on the outside lane, probably 2 cars up, maybe, the second lane out. And he pinned everybody down there to the inside, and you had to stay tight on that short shoot. Were you running inside of him, Justin, sometimes? So we'll give Eric.
Yeah, I remember from last year. There's quite a bit of grip out there, and you can definitely throttle up a lot quicker in those short shoots. Being on that outside position like that, you lose all that runoff if you're on the bottom with him. That car sitting out there. So it's tricky to make that pass.
Good strategy, man. It worked. It was a lot of fun to call that. And everybody kept it clean. There was no door banging. Of course, Eric, it wouldn't be a Sunday Midwest Motorsports race if Eric wasn't getting a stripe on the right rear of his car out of turn 4. So that continued. What's up with that, Eric? Am I crazy for
Yeah,
Is
well, no, sometimes I just got to make sure the wall's still there. I don't want anybody to go through it. So, just checking things, make sure the safer barrier works. But
Safe.
it worked fine. I didn't get a 2X or anything. I just bounced off of it towards the inside. So, I gotta do something, man. If it's either a pit mix up or smacking the wall. Something's got to be in there that tends to throw a wrench at me.
Yeah,
That's
no,
okay.
cool. Yeah, we're just giving you a hard time. Yeah, there were a couple of times, I think the 71 got into the wall as well, and I think that was right about the time, the 57 was blinking pretty bad, and so I think we've all had bad experience with blinking. Um, it's just unfortunate that it happens, to the 57. It was just unfortunate that it ruined his night. I'm glad it didn't hurt anybody worse than it did. I think a couple of guys might have had some close calls, for at least what I saw on the broadcast, but I don't think it brought out any yellows. So, but it definitely ruined Joe Phelps' night. Um, but yeah, so we kept racing, and then green flag pit cycles. The 81 was in there as well. I was hoping that Chris Vinson was gonna uh, take his good qualifying spot and turn it into something, but he took tires one stint too early, and that really hurt him. He was off sequence every other stop after that. He might have run through his box as well. So
I
unfortunately, pole sitter.
think he got a
I think unsafe maybe because he was
unsafe.
it the
I think that's what it
first
was.
the
First
first
stop.
pit stop in front of
Yeah.
us, man. He hit that wall pretty good on the inside, so I don't know if that
Coming in.
triggered something. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that didn't help either. So maybe he had damage. Um, but yeah, so then it was a pretty much a 5-car race after that. Don't forget Brandon Cotton in the 5 started, end of line, started from pit lane, I should say. And slowly but surely, of course, the comp caution helped him catch back up to the back of the pack by the time we restarted. Um, but it took him all the way to the last last 2 pit stops to catch back up. And that made it a 6-car race between Justin Thaler, Eric Thaler, Brandon Thayer, Brandon Cotton, Ty Williams. And it was just 5 cars coming in every, 15 or 17 laps. And Brandon Cotton would stay out 2 laps. I think Ty Williams would try the undercut just about every lap. I think Brandon Thayer stayed out 1 lap here or there, but for the most part, it was take tires every 3rd stop and let it play out. Kevin Mayer in the 77 was having some good races too, so I did recognize that he was showing up and showing out with some speed at Indy. It's been on the schedule for a while. I think everybody's kind of getting the hang of it, but the Cup race put on a heck of a show. I will notice that I know, Eric, you already mentioned that your pit crew let you down once. You sure it was the crew or was it the driver? I
It's
don't know.
always the driver. It's always the driver, man. We always get into messes, but luckily Indy was smooth for me. I didn't get in any issues in the Cup car, which is breath, breath of fresh air. I guess that's the saying. But um, it was a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun I've had all season, I should say. Um, racing the Cup car, there was a lot of good on track action, very clean action. I know Brandon Thayer and I bumped doors a few times, and it was nothing, intentional or too egregious, but just hard racing, it was a lot of fun trying to get around him. Justin and I were together quite a bit too, to where I was trying to get around him and things. And, everybody was racing hard and was putting on a show along with it. There's a lot of times where this race could have been a snoozer, but, it definitely created a lot of on track action last night, and was a lot of fun.
It, I had a blast calling the race, and Justin, you would come in, second, come out fourth, and then work your way back up to second again. By the time the next stop, you led for a little while. I think you stayed out once to get points for leading a lap
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mhm.
But you were always the top five. You could throw a blanket over them for at least, I would say, like the last 40 laps at least. So like 3 pit stops.
Yeah.
What was it like from the 2 car?
It was fun until I gave Eric a pointer, and then he started to drive away, which was stupid on my end, I guess. Mm, We were, dude, like the whole, I don't know, he was in the lead. I don't know if it was like after our first stop or not, the second stop, I don't know, but I'm behind him, and I would gain every time I would gain it on the exit of 1 and 3 into the short chutes. And then he would slinky away from me onto the front and the back stretch, and I'm like, man, I think you're like, I was like, I think I'm a little better than you, like into the short chute, and then you just like kind of pull away on the exit onto the straights, and he's like, yeah, it does seem to be that way, and I can't figure it out. And then I told him, I was like, well, try doing this, and then it was at that point I realized, and you can probably insert the joke now, but I was like, well, that was kind of stupid of me, I guess. But I mean, it was fun. Like him and I were going at it for a while, and he would maybe get that all too known stripe against the right side of his car, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I got you this time," and he'd be like, "Yeah, let's just go." And but yeah, I pretty much just tried to maximize points, and I was in the middle of a hornet's nest of people who I wholly expected not to get anywhere near me and try and put me as far back in the field as possible. So that was fun. But I had a lot of fun racing with Brandon Thayer. Uh, I mic'd up after the race and told him how much fun that was and everything else. And I mean, it was such a clean race.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good it can be. If guys are a little patient, we said it so many times that these are long races. Like, yeah, we might have a comp caution in 10 laps, but what do you get out of, crossing the line 5 seconds ahead of P2 on a comp caution? You don't get anything. So, I think, we go in these spurts of these races where maybe we'll have a string of a couple cautions or one or two too many that we don't like. And then it's almost like we have one of these just awesome, clean races. And, I think what Eric says, this one could have been a snoozer, but I think the action was there from the drop of the green flag to the checker.
Hmm.
Really reminds you why we do it, right?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I mean, would I've liked to have gotten second or third or first? Yeah, but I had a last couple lap battles with just trying to get that one extra position, and um, paid off. And I tried to bag some points, so I led some laps and finished clean, and whatever else. So I mean, it was fun, and there was no shortage of action because you can definitely. I mean, if you're the trailing car, I mean, you can feel, going into 1 or 3, especially. You can feel your car start to get tight. Or I had moments where I was sliding real bad, and I had a couple where I thought I was about to go around and caught it. I lost some momentum, but was able to gain it back. It was a fun night of racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with about like 5 to go, Eric, I know that 81 made it all the way up into second place after getting around the 64. So, and he really hadn't been up to P2 a whole lot. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, but the 81 did go through the grass after getting crossed up with the 7. Um, and between pit stops and good driving, clean driving through traffic. Maybe he got through cleaner because he was on his own, where you guys were maybe racing and trying to be a little more cautious. The 81 could just go. But did you recognize that the 81 hadn't been there all night, and all of a sudden he's in second with like 5 to go?
Yeah, I definitely saw it. He had some speed all night. Something happened where he had to pit and he was off strategy a little bit. I think to where he had to save some fuel, but I don't recall what it was. But I definitely, could have saw him at the top. Even Brandon Cotton, he was coming fast there at the end. I think a couple more laps, he probably would have been racing me real hard. But both of those guys had some good speed throughout the whole race. I know we were pitting, obviously off cycle of the 81 and the 5, but it seemed like they weren't making any mistakes when they were pitting or even on their runs, because after we'd come back out of the pits, they'd be right there with us. So, kudos to those guys.
Yeah, it was awesome. Brandon Cotton got around the 64 and the 81 as they were arguing over real estate, and Brandon got a slipstream right just at the right point into the short chute at 3 and finished it off on down the front straight and reeled it back in with 2 to go, but he couldn't catch you. And then Justin was door banging with the 81 as well, so nonstop. What were you going to say, Eric? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it was, again, it was exciting. I think it's been a long time since we've had a long race like that actually was extremely exciting, and back and forth passing and even the side by side action. There was a lot of times where we were 2 by 2, 2 in the front, 2 behind you, going too wide into the turns, for 2 or 3 laps, and just continuing to battle. And I'm glad. Well, I hope that the drivers enjoyed it. I hope that they continue to want to have races like that, and can see how those things play out, and how much fun they are. But definitely a good race, good long race, and was a lot of fun for on track, and I watched it this morning before I plugged into work, and it was a lot of fun to rewatch it. So again, kudos to all you guys.
For sure. Well, you mentioned earlier that the people have spoken on the poll.
The people have spoken. So before we cover points, I'll just run through the poll here, and the results again. I just mentioned the truck series. Some of these we're going to combine, but the caution cap, like I mentioned before, 41.7% here voted to have a X amount of cautions before you throw the end of the race. So again, we'll kind of look at all the results, see how they play together. Crown Jewel race, kind of a shocker here. I thought we'd see something else coming, but 45.8% want Darlington back is our second Crown Jewel, and adjacent to the Coke 600. So, kind of cool, man. I like Darlington, so I can't say anything.
Oh God.
I would have liked to see an Indy, but
Mm.
what, you want a Daytona?
No, I think Darlington's gonna be awesome. Don't get me wrong, especially with we're gonna have a hell of a lot of pit cycles strategy. Like it's gonna be something, but ooh, it might get dicey.
It's a long one. That was our second long one this year as well, was Darlington. And
at least it was. At least it's not Bristol. I probably would have done thrown up, or when I got out of my rig by the end of a long ass Bristol race, probably been spinning left all the way out of my rig.
Yeah, I'd fall right over. So I'm excited for another Darlington. I'm not much of a super speedway guy. I run good at them, but I'm just, I just don't enjoy them a lot. So, for Daytona not to be in here, I'm not sad. So, and I know there's folks out there that love the super speedways. So I'm not knocking it. It's just something that's not my cup of tea. But Darlington, Indy, both of those are fine. Darlington will be another good one. So we'll see where that winds up in the schedule and how that goes. Moving on to comp cautions, this one's pretty much a runaway. 54.2% voted to do away with it. So, and then lastly, we have the podium D ward, which again is kind of throwing the winner to the rear of the field at the start of the next race. This one, 54.2% voted that this one should go away, and we should never bring this subject back up for a vote. So, again, verbally went through those. We'll post those in the Discord, within the week or so you guys can kind of see where the cards fell. But, we do like to play around with things just so everybody's, aware, like the summer season's short. It is good time for us as a league to experiment with things, see how things work. I know we have thrown things out there before in the summer league that have been absolute crap and have gone away for the long season. And we've definitely tried some things that have been okay. So not a big deal. We adjust when we can and when we need to, but hopefully everybody just comes at it with a open mind and see how the season plays out. So we'll talk rules and such in the future or any major changes that we have, but for right now, poll results will be coming soon, so be looking out for that. So moving on to points, for Cup Series, I think it tightened the gap a little bit, going into the final stretch here. I think we got 5 left, maybe 6, but I think 5. Ty's still up there at the top. Justin, you're 11 behind Ty. And then I got 2 behind you. And Brandon Thayer is 27 back from myself, and Trevor's also 33 back. Also keep in mind, drivers, we do have the drops coming up here in a few races, so you'll kind of see what the mix up may be from there. So could mix up some things, especially in the top 5. But time will prevail. Got some tracks coming up on the schedule that may pose some different opportunities. Got a good stretch of tracks being Texas and Twin Ring. That's our international race. Old Atlanta, in Phoenix, and then rounding out the year at Auto Club. So quite the little mix up of tracks coming up that may just throw some curveballs into the rest of the season. So
let me clarify. Twin Ring Oval because y'all too scared to turn right.
Yeah, the international race was something we implemented a few seasons back, maybe 3 or 4. I've since kind of just taken it out of the summer league, just because we have a short season there. But we'll implement it again come season 10. I don't. Just do you recall if the Cup has been on a road course in the International League? It seems like we always race Twin Ring.
No, Brands Hatch.
Did the Cup car run Brands Hatch? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That
Yeah.
was before the dark. Well, yeah, that was before the dark horse, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
Like the refresh of the next gen Mustang.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, that was like
Um,
season 5, maybe.
I like Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is
It's a classic.
yeah, it's pretty decent, man. For a road course, right? It has its hills, it has its sharp turns. It's got some sweeping corners.
Mhm.
It's a really good mix, you know,
Elevation.
for that car. I know we ran that track a few times in the truck series. I always enjoyed it with that. Um, but you know, we'll think of some options as we, you know, obviously gain closer to season 10. But that's where we wind up this year. Both series wind up there at the Oval at Twin Rings. So we have raced it. Is that is Twin Ring the one in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
Kind of egg
Mhm.
shaped.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of egg shaped.
Yeah, yeah,
Tied
yeah,
together.
yeah. It's okay. It's it's okay.
1 and 2 is a little more like flat and sweeping, and then 3 and 4's got a little tighter, more banked. So 2 definitely different, sets of corners.
Yeah, it does put on a good show. I'm not saying it doesn't. I do recall a few, you know, cars banging towards the end, season or two ago
So
between
there's
JT, but um,
there's great. I mean, James, I don't know if you know all the different layouts, but like Silverstone has some smaller layouts that I think would fit the Cup car really well. We've got that.
mhm.
There's short layouts of Suzuka. There's short layouts of Twin Ring Road. I'm just planting
Didn't
the seed.
didn't the real life trucks go to Motorsport? What with the egg shaped cars?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We've actually run that track too. A few seasons ago. It might have been Xfinity. No, we were there in trucks. I keep going back and forth. I'll talk here all night. Um, I know we've
I think it
done it
was
before in
Xfinity.
Midwest. Yeah, we've done that track before in Midwest. We could bring that back as an option as well, and we probably did stick it on the schedule on the poll. But you know, we'll do something again for season 10 to see what y'all vote and whatnot. And you know, there are some fun tracks out there that could definitely fit the Cup car and truck as well. So. Um,
Wherever we go, you'll hear it here on YouTube. New home of Midwest Motorsports.
that's right, man. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. You know, we're here for our members and want to hear from you as well. So make sure to subscribe, comment, give us a like, and I believe that's gonna end our evening. It was a long one, but definitely some good information out there for everybody that was listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch us next week and catch all the on track racing. What we got Tuesday night here? We start at 7 o'clock Eastern.
What, about 20 after James broadcast?
Session opens at 7. So
Yeah.
be in your rig, ready to practice at 7, qualifying after 20 minutes, and it's enduro. So the broadcast will go live probably 7:15-ish. We'd like to get all the GT3 qualifying in. Hopefully we'll talk to the GT4 pole sitter if we can get him in the booth. And who knows, maybe more surprises. Tomorrow night we go to VIR. Trucks are off Friday, and then the Cup guys, we go racing Sunday at Texas, right?
That's it. Yep, for sure. So, all right, guys, we appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate everybody in the league. Appreciate all of you members out there for your continued support. And let's close her down, James.
Until then, don't forget to stay in your lane.
And I approve of this message.
Can you turn down a good sausage though?